Can I ask you something, sir?
What would it be like to hide who you really are for an entire lifetime? These stars did just that. Find out how some of Hollywood's most beloved figures spent their final days afraid of revealing their true selves. Number 20, Liberace. Imagine living a life so full of glamour, yet spending every moment hiding your true self. Liberace, the king of flamboyance, did just that. Flavio Valentino Liberace is perhaps the most dramatic example of denial on the list. Putting the flame in flamboyance, Liberace lived with his lover, assistant, and co-performer Scott Thorson for 5 years before Thorson sued him for palimony. After gossip magazines began printing gay-baiting articles about him, he took legal action against both the Daily Mirror in the UK and Confidential magazine here in the States, testifying in his libel case that he was not a homosexual and had never participated in homosexual acts. Liberace died in 1987 of AIDS-related pneumonia, but his personal physician persisted in denying the pianist had AIDS. After an autopsy, Riverside County, California coroner Ray Carrillo finally confirmed that Liberace had indeed died of opportunistic diseases caused by AIDS. Number 19, Raymond Burr. What if America's most beloved TV lawyer was hiding a dark secret? Raymond Burr's fabricated tales were as elaborate as the legal cases he won on screen.
This police report looks convincing.
But if we can get the witnesses we need, I can get a plane out tonight. Now, it seems to me the place to start is at the beginning.
In the 1950s and 60s, American TV audiences enthusiastically welcomed Raymond Burr into their homes. First as ace defense attorney Perry Mason, who never lost a case, then as Detective Robert Ironside. These heroic characters stand in stark contrast to Burr's most famous film role as the sinister Lars Thorwald in the Hitchcock classic Rear Window.
Those are just a few of my neighbors. First, I watched them just to kill time, but then I couldn't take my eyes off them, just as you won't be able to.
Would mid-century viewers have so readily accepted Burr as a hero if they knew he was gay? Most likely not. Burr took an unusual approach to covering up this fact. While other gay actors would go on studio-arranged dates with women, Burr made up dead wives out of the whole cloth. He claimed he had been married to a Scottish actress who was killed in the same 1943 plane crash that took the life of movie star Leslie Howard. A second dead wife and a dead son later became part of his story, but like the first wife, they never existed. In reality, Burr was married once, briefly, to an aspiring actress, and they were divorced. Despite his prevarications, he appears to have been a likable man, and he had a happy, long-term relationship with Robert Benavides, an actor who became his business manager as well as his life partner. They met early in the run of Perry Mason and remained together until Burr's death in 1993.
A toast to the things for which there are no substitutes. Good friends, happy days, and victory.
Number 18, Anthony Perkins. What if the boy next door had a secret so deep it haunted him his entire life? Anthony Perkins lived with torment despite his on-screen charm. The dark and brooding boy next door had a secret. And that secret was that his boyfriend was the sunny and athletic boy next door, Tab Hunter. Perkins's appeal was a sincere and vulnerable personality with a face that revealed emotions that lurked beneath the surface. He was an award-winning actor early in his career, as well as a recording star with Billboard-charted hits. His fame exploded with the release of Hitchcock's Psycho, and forever after, he was typecast as the disturbed young man. There are photos of Perkins and Tab Hunter on arranged double dates as they sit next to each other in movie houses with the girls flanking the outside. Everyone looks miserable. Off camera, Perkins suffered great anxiety over his sexual orientation and underwent therapy to help overcome his attraction to other men. He eventually married a woman, photographer Barry Berenson, who was a passenger on the hijacked American Airlines Flight 11, which crashed into the World Trade Center on September 11, 2001, and fathered 2 sons. But according to TCM, he never fully overcame his personal demons, and suffered the dismay of learning he was HIV positive via a story in the National Enquirer. Number 17, Ramon Navaro. Once a rival to Valentino's heartthrob status, Ramon Navaro's tragic end overshadowed his legacy. But what secrets did he take with him to the grave? Navaro, a rival to Rudolph Valentino as the top heartthrob of silent films, is remembered today, sadly, mostly for his brutal murder in 1968. Two brothers, one of them an occasional hustler, was convicted of the crime, about which many apocryphal tales have spread. But Navaro was also a capable actor and a major star of the silents who transitioned successfully into sound films. After his stardom waned in the mid-1930s, he kept on working in supporting roles, and he even did TV guest shots into the 60s. He had several same-sex relationships, one of the most important ones was with journalist and publicist Herbert Howe in the 1920s. Studios occasionally concocted a straight romance for Navaro, but most of the time attributed his bachelorhood to his devout Catholic faith. He did try at one point to enter a monastery, and his devotion to his parents, brothers, and sisters. He made many hit films, but the most notable and enduring one is the 1925 silent version of Ben-Hur. That movie may soon attract new audiences, as musician Stuart Copeland, the Police drummer turned film, television, and theater composer, has overseen a digital restoration of it and composed a new score for accompaniment. The Chicago Symphony Orchestra, joined by Copeland, will perform the score when the film is shown in the Windy City. Number 16, Roy Cohn. A man who built his career destroying others, only to hide the very thing he condemned. Roy Cohn's story is one of the darkest ironies in history. Roy Cohn is perhaps best known in popular culture as a leading antagonist in Angels in America.
So, Joe, what do you think?
It's
Crazy Live.
The Pulitzer Prize-winning play that was later adapted into a popular HBO series in which Al Pacino portrayed Cohn in all his closeted hypocrisy. During the Red Scare era of American history, Cohn was an attorney who, under the authority of Senator Joseph McCarthy, led a series of high-profile prosecutions of suspected members of the Communist Party. A prominent member of the U.S. Department of Justice's prosecution team, Cohn was a major player in the 1951 trial and conviction of Ethel and Julius Rosenberg, pulling strings as well as pulling false testimony from Ethel's brother, David Greenglass, in order to secure the guilty verdict. He was also a major player in the Lavender Scare, one who helped convince President Eisenhower to bar gay people from employment with the federal government by promoting fears that they would pass on secrets to communists abroad. Cohn would go on to target many public figures suspected of being gay, though there was speculation about his own gayness, and a rumored relationship with his chief consultant, G. David Schein, during his lifetime. Eventually, he died of AIDS-related causes at the age of 59.
And heaven?
That was heaven, Roy.
Number 15, Gene Acker. When Hollywood studios wanted to hide the truth, they turned to one solution: a marriage of convenience. Gene Acker's rushed wedding is one for the ages. According to history, there was an era when Hollywood studios would marry off their LGBTQ+ stars to conceal their real sexuality. One of these was Checkers actress Gene Acker, who married Rudolph Valentino. At the time, Acker was notably more famous than the chic star, who eventually became one of the biggest silent film actors of the era. Per The Independent, he was subject to similar speculation about his own sexuality, but this doesn't seem to be where the pair connected. The New York Times reports that the couple had a marriage of convenience. Valentino believed the lesbian actress might help his career, and they wed on a whim. The night of their wedding, Acker reportedly slammed the door in his face. According to Pop Sugar, they never consummated their marriage, and Valentino failed to understand his wife's true sexuality. Initially undeterred, he continued to write her love letters for months after their nuptials, but at the time of the wedding, the actress was reportedly in a lesbian love triangle. Simply put, she allegedly got hitched to save herself from any potential scandal surrounding her sexuality, instantly regretted the decision, and, unsurprisingly, the two divorced not long after. Number 14, Katherine Hepburn. An icon of Hollywood's golden age, Katherine Hepburn's rumored secret life was anything but conventional. But was the public ever ready to hear the truth? Iconic Hollywood actress and Academy Award-winning performer in films such as Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, The Lion in Winter, and On Golden Pond, Katherine Hepburn reportedly had an insatiable appetite for women, according to former pimp and full-service author Scotty Bowers. Bowers claimed a typical request from Hepburn would sound something like this: "When you get a chance, you think you can find a nice young dark-haired girl for me? Someone that's not too heavily made up." Over the course of 5 decades, Bowers and Hepburn became good friends, and Bowers claimed to have procured over 150 different women and suggested that Hepburn was rather fickle and would only see each girl once or twice and then tire of them. Despite this, Hepburn's studio pushed the narrative that she and fellow co-star Spencer Tracy, also allegedly homosexual, were in a relationship. According to accounts, this was instead a very solid friendship. Screenwriter and gay rights activist Larry Kramer stated the famous couple Hepburn and Tracy were both gay. They were publicly paired together by the studio. Everyone in Hollywood knows this is true, but of course, I haven't seen it printed anywhere. Number 13, James Dean. He was the rebel without a cause. But what if James Dean had an entirely different cause he couldn't let the world know about? His secrets may shock you. Actor James Dean reportedly dodged the draft during the Korean War by kissing the medic, as he is said to have quipped the gossip columnist Hedda Hopper. As could be expected given that statement, Dean reportedly had to address rumors about his sexuality during his lifetime. According to Salon, Dean once claimed, "No, I'm not homosexual, but I also am not going through life with one hand tied behind my back." Judging by other reports, Dean may have occasionally enjoyed going through life with both hands tied behind his back. In the biography James Dean, Tomorrow Never Comes, authors Darwin Porter and Danforth Prince allege that Dean enjoyed kinky sadomasochistic sex with actor Marlon Brando. He'd reportedly wait outside Brando's apartment like a puppy dog and ask Brando to burn him with cigarettes during sex. Composer Alec Wilder claimed they were definitely a couple, adding, of course, the words sexual fidelity would be unknown in each of their vocabularies. Brando wasn't Dean's only alleged same-sex conquest. Talking to Robert Martinetti for his biography, The James Dean Story, advertising exec Rogers Brackett claimed, "I loved him and Jimmy loved me." In the book James Dean, the biography, author Val Holly claimed Brackett took Dean in when almost no one else believed in him, and felt the relationship was the real deal, as noted by Real James Dean. Number 12, Marlene Dietrich. With a reputation for fearless style and unapologetic love affairs, Marlene Dietrich blurred the lines between fashion and sexuality in an era that was anything but tolerant. A product of the arts-centric Weimar culture in the early 20th century Germany, Marlene Dietrich lived freely, fearlessly, and was well known for her sexuality. Well known for her masculine dress sense, she regularly donned pants and tuxes on the silver screen at a time when it was unfashionable to do so, changing the way women thought about pants forever. She was also unapologetic about her love for both men and women. There are reports of Dietrich having relationships with Kay Francis, Edith Piaf, Mercedes de Acosta, and Greta Garbo. Dietrich's daughter, Maria Riva, opened up more about her mother's sexuality in a 1992 tell-all book. Though the star remained married to film producer Rudolf Sieber, Riva admitted her mother had affairs with men as a way of controlling and manipulating them, and not because she enjoyed it. Instead, her affairs with women were allegedly much more satisfying for her, though critics were hesitant to label Dietrich as bisexual. As film critic Kenneth Tynan once remarked, Dietrich has sex without gender. Number 11, Marilyn Monroe. She was the ultimate blonde bombshell. But what if Marilyn Monroe's real desires went far beyond what the public ever imagined? Her secrets are explosive. In her 2012 book, Marilyn, The Passion and the Paradox, author Lois Banner claims Marilyn Monroe desired women, had affairs with them, and worried that she might be lesbian by nature, via The Guardian. In her lifetime, Monroe allegedly enjoyed sexual dalliances with the likes of Elizabeth Taylor, Barbara Stanwick, Marlene Dietrich, and Joan Crawford, according to Michelle Morgan's biography, Marilyn Monroe, Private and Undisclosed. In regards to that last escapade, transcripts of Monroe's therapy sessions with Dr. Ralph Greenson suggest that she once bragged, saying, "Oh yes, Crawford. We went to Joan's bedroom. Crawford had a gigantic orgasm and shrieked like a maniac." Meanwhile, Judy Garland reportedly claimed Monroe pursued her at a party. "Marilyn followed me from room to room," she's quoted as saying. After Monroe and baseball legend Joe DiMaggio divorced in 1954, he reportedly told journalist Walter Winchell that their relationship ended because of Monroe's preference for women. The actress reportedly bedded two of her acting teachers, Paula Strasberg and Natasha Leitz, and reportedly dumped the latter in a brutal fashion, refusing to take Leitz's calls. "I was the older one, the teacher, but she knew the depth of my attachment to her," Leitz later said of the relationship. "She exploited those feelings as only a beautiful younger person can." Opening up further about the end of the affair, Leitz claimed, "She said she was the needy one. Alas, it was the reverse." Number 10. Rock Hudson. He was the heartthrob of an entire generation. But Rock Hudson had a secret that Hollywood's biggest studios worked tirelessly to protect. Here's what they never wanted you to know. The 6'5" actor was the king of the dreamboats. His light comedy romps with Doris Day, as well as his more serious films like Giant and Seconds, allowed him to also be considered a serious actor. His television series, McMillan and Wife, kept him on our screens once a week, and his last performances were on the campy, iconic Dynasty. Rock Hudson tried to play both sides of the closet. He was very out at his legendary pool parties. Folk such as Armistead Maupin have written about their sexual experiences with him, but he also married his agent Henry Wilson's secretary, Phyllis Gates. Gates was revealed to be a lesbian later in The Advocate. The walls of the closet all but evaporated when Hudson began being seriously ill with AIDS. Even then, he said it was from blood transfusions. Regardless, Hudson's death from AIDS complications resulted in enormous public awareness of the disease, and as Morgan Fairchild said, Rock Hudson's death gave AIDS a face.
Well, I'm not copying a plea. I'm an innocent man.
Number 9. Greta Garbo. What happens when one of Hollywood's most mysterious stars carries a secret romance with another leading lady? Greta Garbo's hidden love affairs changed the course of her career. In her book, The Girls, Sappho Goes to Hollywood, journalist Diana McClellan spent 5 years researching A-list lesbian love affairs of old Hollywood. Poring over newspaper articles, long secret government documents, and reams of correspondence, McClellan unearthed evidence that suggested actress Greta Garbo and Marlene Dietrich enjoyed a romance when Garbo was 19 years old. McClellan suspects the alleged dalliance informed much of Garbo's life from that point onward, including her mystique, inscrutability, and obsession with privacy. While filming the 1925 silent film The Joyless Street, Dietrich, who McClellan claimed possessed a compulsive appetite for the sexual seduction of other beautiful women, reportedly bedded the simple, sensitive 19-year-old Swede. Meanwhile, Garbo reportedly referred to lesbian love affairs as exciting secrets. In 2005, The Guardian reported that private letters implied Garbo had lived the better part of her existence in isolation and despair, and pining for actress Mimi Pollock, who she knew from drama school. One letter, written by Garbo to then-married Pollock in 1928, allegedly read, "I dream of seeing you and discovering whether you still care as much about your old bachelor. I love you, little mimosa." Number 8. Spencer Tracy. Hollywood's golden couple may have been more smoke and mirrors than reality. Spencer Tracy's real romantic interests were far from what the public was led to believe. In October 2016, Vanity Fair effectively outed Boys Town actor Spencer Tracy by publishing an excerpt of the book Kate, the Woman Who Was Hepburn by William J. Mann. It was Scotty Bowers, the aforementioned pimp for Hollywood's closeted movie stars, who first shared this particular piece of gossip with the author.
Struck the first blow.
The first blow? What, are you kidding? There was only one blow?
Careful, Whitey. There are extra charges for contempt of court.
Okay.
Mo?
He started riding me the second he struck here. Last night in the dormitory, he kept on doing it. Then this morning he comes into my shop and he says, "Hey, White Wings, give me a haircut, a massage. The whole works, baby, the whole works."
Bowers claimed Tracy was one of several stars he serviced out of a gas station located on Hollywood Boulevard and North Van Ness Avenue, and he swore he slept with Tracy on numerous occasions. At the opening night party for the documentary Scotty and the Secret History of Hollywood in August 2018, IndieWire reportedly asked Bowers a particularly pointed question. So, how gay was Spencer Tracy? Bowers gamely replied, he got drunk and thanked the man beside him in the morning for taking care of him. To that end, there are rumors that Tracy and Kate Hepburn's alleged decades-long affair wasn't quite what it seemed. Hepburn and Spencer Tracy were both gay, activist and author Larry Kramer told The Hollywood Reporter in 2015. They were publicly paired together by the studio. Everyone in Hollywood knows this is true, but of course, I haven't seen it printed anywhere. Number 7. Cesar Romero. The Joker's real secret wasn't his maniacal laughter. It was a private life full of carefully hidden relationships. Cesar Romero's double life was anything but a joke. Cesar Romero, who's best known as the Joker in the classic Batman TV series, was undeniably tall, dark, and handsome. What else would you expect from a person who starred in a film called Tall, Dark, and Handsome?
Oh, I was worried about you this afternoon. You know, I thought Pretty Willie was going to rub you out like a pencil mark.
Why would he do that? He's my best friend.
For one generation, he was a comic book villain, but for another, he was a dreamy Latin lover, both in his typecast roles and the tabloids, which regularly spotted him about town with various gorgeous women. Despite his reputation as a bachelor, Romero's sexuality was reportedly one of Hollywood's worst-kept secrets. According to The Hollywood Reporter, the actor allegedly opened up to Hollywood Gays author Bose Hadley and claimed to have had what the outlet called a wide-ranging gay sex life, despite being regularly papped with actresses. Hadley also claimed that Romero, who was closeted to fans and colleagues, had a fling with I Love Lucy star Desi Arnaz, as well as a rumored relationship with Tyrone Power. Those aren't the only rumors kicking around about the film star. Comedian Gilbert Gottfried, who apparently is an authority on old Hollywood gossip, revealed some salacious hearsay about Romero to Huffington Post. I don't know if it's true. I don't care. I want it to be true. Someone said that Romero was turned on by dropping his pants and having young boys throw orange slices at his ass. Of course, Gottfried's account has not been verified by literally anyone. Number 6. Marlon Brando. Hollywood's ultimate bad boy. Marlon Brando was never one to shy away from controversy. But what if his real interests were more shocking than his acting roles? In his 1976 autobiography, Marlon Brando, the Only Contender, the late actor raised eyebrows by telling journalist Gary Carey, "Homosexuality is so much in fashion, it no longer makes news," via Newsweek. He went on to proudly boast, "Like a large number of men, I too have had homosexual experiences, and I'm not ashamed. I have never paid much attention to what people think about me." If even half the rumors are true, Brando had plenty of male companionship during his lifetime. According to Express, Brando was said to have had relationships with the likes of Carrie Grant, James Dean, and Rock Hudson. Meanwhile, during a sprawling February 2018 interview with Vulture, producer Quincy Jones claimed the actor would happily have sex with just about anybody within spitting distance. He'd fuck a mailbox. James Baldwin, Richard Pryor, Marvin Gaye. While mailboxes have stayed mum on the subject, Richard Pryor's widow claimed Brando did, in fact, have a sexual liaison with her late husband back in the day. It was the 70s. Jennifer Pryor told TMZ, drugs were still good, especially Quaaludes. If you did enough cocaine, you'd fuck a radiator and send it flowers in the morning. Number 5. Carrie Grant. Hollywood's most charming leading man, Carrie Grant, was hiding more than just his humble beginnings. The truth behind his relationship choices is more complex than you think. If reports are to be believed, North by Northwest star Carrie Grant swung both ways. According to the documentary Women He's Undressed, Grant used to shack up in a Greenwich Village love nest with Australian costume designer Ori Kelly via the New York Post. That documentary, and Ori Kelly's memoir on which it's based, paints Grant as a former vaudeville star who was forced to repress his sexuality in order to conform to the homophobic Hollywood studio system. Kelly was reportedly 7 years Grant's senior, and he first met the entertainer when he was still known as Archibald Leach, shortly before he turned 21 on January 18, 1925. Recently ousted from a boarding home after failing to pay his rent, Grant and his tin box of possessions reportedly moved into Kelly's place. Prior to making it in Hollywood, Grant reportedly worked as a carnival barker, an escort, a member of a stilt walking troupe, and even helped stencil the ties Kelly made by hand. The relationship reportedly ebbed and flowed over the course of 3 decades, with Kelly growing increasingly resentful of Grant's predilection for blonde women. Their relationship even allegedly became abusive at times. A combination of self-loathing and confusion was manifested in a punch-up. Katherine Thompson, the writer of the documentary, told the Post. She claimed Grant even threw Kelly out of a moving vehicle during a particularly heated moment. Number 4. Barbara Stanwyck. What happens when a starlet known for her tough-as-nails image hides a softer side that Hollywood was never allowed to see? Barbara Stanwyck's private life is full of questions. One thing is clear. There's no shortage of biographers eager to speculate about Barbara Stanwyck's sexuality. According to biographer Axel Madsen, the actress was widely suspected to be Hollywood's biggest closeted lesbian, as reported by Out. For years, rumors reportedly swirled that her unions to Robert Taylor and Frank Fay were so-called lavender marriages, arranged by studio brass to conceal her secret. Meanwhile, in her book, The Life and Loves of Barbara Stanwyck, author Jane Ellen Wayne suggests Stanwyck was most likely bisexual. And then there's Diana McClellan's 2000 expose, The Girls, Sappho Goes to Hollywood, which claimed that actress Tallulah Bankhead admitted that she'd had a romantic romp with Stanwyck. In her lifetime, Stanwyck proved unwilling to open up about her sexuality. At least, she didn't want to discuss it with the likes of author Bose Hadley, as she once reportedly ejected him from her house when he prodded her on the issue. As Out reported, Hadley allegedly asked if she believed bisexuality was very widespread among female stars during Hollywood's heyday, leading Stanwyck to offer this demure deflection. I heard that Dietrich, Garbo, most of the girls from Europe swing either way. Then I found out it's true. Hadley then hungrily asked, "You found out?" But Stanwyck wouldn't take the bait. "Next," she cried, and that was that. Remarking on that interview, Time likened Hadley's questioning to senior abuse. Number 3. Tab Hunter. He was the poster boy for Hollywood heartthrobs, but Tab Hunter's real story was far more complicated than what was seen on screen. His struggles reveal a hidden world. Discovered at age 17 and often cast as the soldier, an object of leading ladies' affections, Tab Hunter was a Hollywood actor who was never considered a star for his extraordinary acting ability so much as his undeniable good looks and charm. His immense popularity with young female fans is precisely why he kept his sexuality a secret for most of his life. In his own words, he felt painfully isolated, stranded between the casual homophobia of most normal people and the flagrantly gay Hollywood subculture, where he was even less comfortable and less accepted. Tab Hunter was arrested at a gay party in 1950 before he was famous, and years later, his agent leaked this information to Confidential to prevent the magazine from running an expose about his top client, Rock Hudson. Hunter remained a big star well into the 60s, had a long-term relationship with Anthony Perkins, and revealed all in a 2005 memoir, Tab Hunter, Confidential. Number 2, Patsy Kelly. In an era where hiding was the norm, Patsy Kelly refused to play by Hollywood's rules. Her bold honesty cost her roles, but it paved the way for future generations. Although not a household name, Patsy Kelly can be recognized from her roles playing the sassy best friend in the 1930s comedies like The Girl from Missouri and Merrily We Live. Kelly was very open and explicitly talked about her homosexuality during her career from the 30s to the 40s. She told magazines that she was a dyke, living with her girlfriend and never planned on marriage. Kelly also had a relationship with actress Tallulah Bankhead, who was very open about her attraction to both men and women. Throughout her film career, Kelly remained in supporting roles, which was likely due to her openness about her sexuality. But today, she has a strong following in the cult classic movie community and is one of the strongest examples of a celebrity being openly homosexual in early Hollywood. Number 1, Ivor Noll. At a time when being openly gay could mean a lifetime in prison, Ivor Noll took risks others wouldn't dare. But even he had to pay a price for his truth. When British actor and composer Ivor Noll was working on West End theater productions in the early 20th century, male homosexuality was illegal and punishable by life in prison, per The Guardian. It wasn't until the Sexual Offences Act of 1967 that private consensual displays of same-sex affection for those over the age of 21 were legalized. This could have been a problem for the star, who rose to fame across the pond in works like The Lodger, but according to BBC Wales, the police seem to have turned a blind eye to Novello's well-known homosexuality. He only ever served an 8-week prison sentence for misusing petrol coupons during World War II. Like many men of the era, Novello couldn't freely identify himself as homosexual, but his sexuality was an open secret. According to biographer Donald Spoto via The Guardian, the actor was never on or off the set, especially shy about his homosexual life, which unfortunately led to some harsh reviews from critics who called him effeminate and overly pretty. Novello also seemed to gravitate toward other creatives when it came to romance. He had a relationship with actor Bobby Andrews, but most famously dated poet Siegfried Sassoon. BBC Wales describes the latter relationship as not an easy or comfortable liaison that did not bring happiness to either man. Thanks for watching. If you're fascinated by the hidden stories of Hollywood's past, be sure to check out our other videos. We've got plenty more jaw-dropping secrets and untold tales waiting for you. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss an upload. Dive into another video now. There's so much more to uncover.